We're late. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Liquor Commission, the special meeting of the Liquor Commission for Monday, February 4th, 2019. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Simpson.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Vito?
Here.
Commissioner Papantos?
Present.
Commissioner Kruger?
Present.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Brady informed the board he would not be here this evening, and Chairperson Horker.
Here. You have before you the minutes of the special meeting of January 21st, 2019. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Commissioner Vogel, second Commissioner Papantos. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. Citizens' concerns and comments?
There are none.
Thank you. Item A.
Consideration of a request for a Class L liquor license from Atlantic Aviation for the Butler Did It Incorporated for an event to be held at 1005 South Wolf Road on February 5th, 2019.
Mr. Spondulis, what do we have?
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is a request for a Class L liquor license for Atlantic Aviation. Although this is a private event, a special event liquor license is required because the village's municipal code stipulates that it is unlawful to permit the consumption of alcoholic liquor on the premises of any business or commercial enterprise during business hours unless a retail liquor license has been issued for such premises. This is exactly that license, and I believe the petitioner is here this evening and can answer any further questions.
Any questions from the board? To my left, to my right. There are no questions.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion, Commissioner Vogel, second.
Second.
Commissioner Papantos, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Papantos?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes. That concludes the Liquor Control Commission's meeting, work for the evening. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, Commissioner Lang, second.
Second.
Commissioner Kruger, all in favor?
Aye.
I would now like, meeting adjourned. Use that thing every now and then. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the village for February 4th, 2019. All set?
Yes.
Roll call.
Trustee Lang?
I'm here.
Trustee Vito?
Here.
Trustee Papantos?
Present.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
Trustee Brady informed the board he would not be here this evening, and President Horker.
Here. You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of January 21st, 2019. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion, Trustee Lang, second, Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Should I do it now or later? Yeah. We'd like to pull item from the consent agenda, item 11C, please, and add it to the end of new business to become 13C.
Becomes 13C?
13C.
Okay. Motion?
No motion on that.
No?
All right. Proclamations, congratulatory resolutions, and awards. Clerk Simpson.
I don't have that. For the Cancer Society?
Yes?
I have nothing.
John?
Chief Dunn.
Chief Dunn, okay.
I will defer to Officer Levert.
Good evening. My name is Crime Prevention Officer Scott Laverde with the Wheeling Police. And I'm proud to say that we had the opportunity in the late fall to participate in something that affects everyone. So cancer, as we know, affects us all. And we were lucky enough to work with the Bear family restaurants who own the 2 McDonald's in Wheeling to conduct a fundraiser in the late fall to raise money for cancer awareness and prevention. With the help of our, Citizens Patrol volunteers, some of whom are here tonight, we raised almost $1,500 for the fight against cancer. And at this time, I'd like to invite up Marley Pikelny from the American Cancer Society, as well as Mr. Bear from the Bear Family Restaurants. Marley, on behalf of the Wheeling Police Department and the Village of Wheeling, we would like to present to the American Cancer Society this check in the amount of $14.72 for the battle against cancer. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much to the Wheeling Police Department for partnering with us on this awesome fundraiser. It was called Arrest Cancer, which I don't know if any of you have a connection to cancer, but my mom is a cancer survivor, and Arrest Cancer is definitely a great way to say that we're fighting cancer. So thank you so much for the support of the American Cancer Society, and have a great evening.
And Mr. Bear, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bear, the owner of the McDonald's in Wheeling. Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the village, to the police department, to all the volunteers in the community for giving us such a gracious welcome into the community. We've owned the restaurants for just over a year, almost a year and a half now. We were very honored to have this opportunity to work with you to raise funds for such a worthy cause. However, we felt that this dollar amount, $1,472.62, although it was raised in 2 hours, which is a momentous feat, we thought that was wonderful. We thought it would sound better if it resonated a little larger. So on behalf of the Bear family, we're going to add on to that to make it an even $2,000. So here's another $527 for you.
Thank you, that was very nice. Appointments and confirmations. I need a motion to appoint Robert Yedinak, sorry, to the Planning Commission. Anybody make that motion?
So moved.
Motion Trustee Lang, second Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee and President Horker.
Yes. Simpson. You got it?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Robert Yedinak,
I, Robert Yedinak,
having been appointed to the Planning Commission
having been appointed to the Planning Commission
in the Village of Wheeling,
in the Village of Wheeling,
in the counties of Cook and Lake,
in the counties of Cook and Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the State of the United States,
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
of Plan Commissioner
of Plan Commissioner
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And get your phone back up.
Next is citizens' concerns and comments. Just as a reminder, this is a time for citizens to make comments and express concerns for the board to listen. Neither the board nor the staff will be answering questions.
Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding only those items that are relevant to village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. Debbie Wilson.
Hi, I was at the open house for the airport, and Ray Lang was there, and a few of the trustees showed up, and they were showing, they had these workshop tables where people could lay the overlays of the runway lengths over the current maps, and the different SIG groups had their posters up of where they imagined it would be. And then I had heard Trustee Ray Lang tell a circle of folks he was talking to that the plan was to put it under south into Prospect Heights, that there'd be some sort of tunnel of the road going under the runway. And so I was just wondering, I mean, my main concern is that if it's extended into Wheeling, that we would have some businesses removed from the tax rolls, and I would hate to see that happen. So when I read through the airport zoning ordinance, it said that there's many buildings that are currently in the airport runway safety zone. At that time, it was actually called the airport hazard area, and it goes over Foxborough into part, by Holmes Junior High and some of those neighborhoods there by Wheeling Avenue and Anita Street. And it said that as of any buildings that were erected at the time, that the ordinance was put into effect in 1979 would not have to be removed at all. So I was wondering if they elongate it, would that change that? I know that when you annex properties, often there's that grandfathered in clause where, if it's a legal non-conforming use, it's you permit it, but you just don't permit it to expand. So I guess I was just wondering, would that apply to the airport? If they extend the runway, would they then be required to make certain that those runway safety areas have no buildings in their space? That I didn't know if that would apply. If it only went into Prospect Heights, I don't know if that would affect all the homes and businesses that are currently in the northwest corner runway, safety area runway, I believe it's 1634. So can anybody tell me about that, how that would apply if it was, the law was when Bill Hine was mayor, Sheila Schultz was on she was a trustee at the time, and the ordinance specifically states that anything that's constructed at the date in 1979 would not have to be removed from those areas. But if we expand that, is that a game changer for that? Does that mean now that we would be required to provide no obstructions, no buildings in those runway safety areas? Can anyone tell us about that? No answer. Okay. I was hoping before the meeting's over, I noticed on your bills packet, sometimes you pay with a check and sometimes you pay with a voucher. I was hoping to learn this evening, how is a voucher different than a check, and what circumstances prompts the village to pay with one method or the other? So hopefully you'll tell us about that during your official communications, Mr. Mondeshain. I'd love to hear more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Clerk Simpson.
Mr. Yeaman.
Hello. I'm same as Mr. Horcher's RV enthusiast. And last year, village did a good thing to help people who has motorhome or RV to keep this on the property a longer period of time. And I think we have to move a little bit forward. Look like our neighbor Buffalo Grove, they propose from May 15th to September 30th allowed people to keep motorhome on driveway. I prepare some proposal. I hope somebody will read this, and also this is everything in electronic format. If required any correction, I believe, I will be happy somebody look on this, and I'm looking forward village will accept my proposal.
Thank you, sir.
This is couple of copy also, and
Oh.
everything, and this is Buffalo Grove letter what they sent to everybody.
Thank you. I'll distribute it. Thank you, sir.
Mary Ann Legori?
Hello, good evening. I just wanted to stop by and just clear up some misinformation. I was here a couple weeks ago. It was very long. I apologize for that. It was just fear of what's about to happen in front of my house and the unknown. So I apologize for the length of that when I was here. January 17th, the Journal and Topics newspaper wrote an article about you approving this tax incentive. When I was here, the whole basis was just to ask to kind of table it, get all the information, and that was it. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and so Mr. Malenthefy had talked to the newspaper, and there were some things that he said in there that weren't as accurate as real life. So regardless of whether a company leaves or not, we still have a new building. That's true. And new construction is easier to fill than old vacant buildings. There's not a vacant building on there. And then he talked about vacancy relief for the vacant portion of the Wolf Road site. So when I bought my house, this was across from this field. I knew the airport owned it. This was 30 years ago when they moved Wolf Road. And I knew the airport owned it, and I knew if there was ever going to be any progress, anything done, it would have been a project as a whole. I would have just been bought out. I was well aware the airport land was there. Because when you purchase lands, federal funding, the airport is supposed to use that for airport purposes. That's just the law. So I knew if at any point, and I never thought in a million years I would now be looking at, I live in peace and quiet, and I never thought I would be looking at, a chemical company or whatever. We don't know what it is. Right in front of my house, 15 docks for semi-trucks, in and out, at any given time. I live in my yard and it's peaceful. And that's not okay. I don't think that's okay. And I know you haven't approved any kind of zoning change, but some of the misinformation that was said there, this is not vacancy relief. You guys just sold that piece of land. And the airport owned it, so they didn't pay taxes. And my whole point of when I was here was, there's other funds that are collected through sales tax, through, I buy our cars at Stasic, shop at Fresh Farms. None of that was taken into consideration. That's fine. I understand where you stood, why you stood, except that this should have been a project as a whole. There's no other suburb or community that at some point now in the year 2019 now puts an I-1 or an I-2 directly next to residential neighborhood, actually rezones that residential neighborhood for that purpose. And here it says, he said light manufacturing, that would be great, but there's no guarantee of that. When I had brought to you, I thought other taxing bodies should look at this just more than a handful of people, because in the end, it's all of ours. Stereogenics in Willowbrook, it's a chemical company, Madigan's going after them, and the point of that is it could be this. Why couldn't they come here and you lose all control, the Planning Commission loses control, because now it's a building, anybody can rent it out, and this is feet from seniors who bought their homes there 40 years ago, that the properties in front of them was consumed by the airport when the road moved. Mr. Malenthefy said this is an area that is impacted by airport operations. And that's just not true. I don't understand what that means. When I bought my house, I looked at both of the runways, the runway. I'm not in a pollution zone. I remember reading years ago, children within 500 feet of the runway have more lead in their blood. I have kids, and I was planning on having children. The noise, because I'm not at either end of the runway, I don't have that heavy noise that you have, that many people in Wheeling have. I am the closest, I would never qualify for soundproofing just because of that. And then he went on to say, homeowners who sell developers will receive more than market value of their property. My property's not up for sale. I'm not selling it, and I've not had any.
That's the time.
I've not had any offers on my property. And if you
Ms.
can just
Lagori.
look, can I hand this to you?
Sure.
Okay. If you can just look, this is directly from the airport website. It's about DNLs. We're at 60. We are the same
Ms.
as
Lagori,
over 8,000 people
More people.
have it worse than us with the noise. And
Ms. Lagori,
yes,
can I have that?
yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I just wanted
Your time is up.
clarification. Maybe I didn't know something. Maybe there's something there I don't know that
pushing,
it's
Ms. Lagori.
dangerous.
Can I have that? You want to give me that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
appreciate your time.
I will share this.
Thank you.
Clerk Simpson.
Consent?
Staff reports.
No, actually, we have some staff reports.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Janik?
Yes, good evening. Wolf Road. Recently, the Village Engineering Department, Public Works, had a meeting with IDOT in Schaumburg to discuss the Wolf Road improvements. That's a jurisdictional transfer that's been talked about for numerous years. There was information I had previously that there was supposed to be a contract letting possibly in June. The department told us at the meeting that more likely the letting would be in September of 2019. If there's a letting in September, most likely the construction would take place in 2020. Now, they're not bound to that, but that is the most recent information I do have relative to Wolf Road. And as a side note, anybody who drove on Wolf Road today or this weekend most likely saw a lot of potholes on Wolf Road. We have contacted IDOT about that. Hopefully their guys come out, hopefully they see how bad the road's getting, and hopefully they push forward the plan to get this roadway redone, reconstructed.
Thank you, Mr. Janik.
Excuse me, may I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Director Janik, besides Wolf Road, or I guess it's an observation, Dundee between Wolf and Milwaukee also is your plan, dodge them with the potholes if we can notify the state that it'd be nice to have those filled. And why was the delay? Did the state indicate?
Some of the delay, the engineers have been working on the project for a number of years, but there has been easements that have needed to be obtained by the state of Illinois, actually property that they have had to purchase to obtain from residents and regular property owners, commercial. That took place a few years ago. Recently, what they've been doing is that since it's taken so long for them to get this project going, they actually need some temporary construction easements for the most part, and there has been some delay relative to obtaining some of these easements from property owners. I would like to think that we could get, the easements done as soon as possible. I think they're making good progress on it, but I do know that there's been some delay because of them obtaining easements for the roadway. Not permanent easements, but easements for construction that then the property would go back to the property owners.
And would the property be reinstated to its original look after the construction?
Absolutely. Any kind of temporary construction easement taken out by a governmental agency, the village, county, state, is always restored back to the state that it was previous to the easement or any kind of destruction of the property on the easement itself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Clerk Simpson.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of previously bid contracts for the purchase of 1 single-axle and 2 double-axle dump trucks with additional equipment for snow and ice control and general use in a total amount not to exceed $434,950 for 2019. 11B, resolution approving a 4-year contract with Lo Verde Construction Company for aggregate material delivery and debris hauling in a total amount not to exceed $725.
Any concerns? If not, a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion trustee Papantos.
Second.
Second trustee Kruger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. We have no old business, so jump into new business.
On new business. 13A, resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the Prospect Heights Fire Protection District for mutual aid ambulance billing.
Chief McIsaac, what do we got?
Thank you very much. Historically, it has been the position of the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, which handles Medicare and Medicaid, that you could not charge for mutual aid ambulance service. In other words, if we went into Prospect Heights and provided service, we could not bill their residents and vice versa. In August, the Office of the Inspector General actually issued finally a formal written opinion that changed that direction and said that we can in fact establish a mutual aid ambulance billing program with various parties as long as we do two things. One is we enter into a formal written agreement, which is the intergovernmental agreement before you, and that two, that patients that are transported and billed are billed at the same rate they would have been billed if the service had been provided by their primary service provider. In discussions with Prospect Heights, as you know, we've been doing some functional organizational planning with them. We engaged in these discussions. We both agreed it was mutually beneficial to both parties. It does not replace our primary responsibility for providing ambulance service to our residents and for them to provide ambulance service to their residents, and would only apply in those situations when the resources have been expended and we need to rely on each other for those like third and fourth calls or mutual aid type calls. Another positive note for doing this with Prospect Heights is while we both have very similar rates, they're not exactly the same, but we do have the same billing company, Andres Medical Billing. So the ability to implement this after initiation of the intergovernmental agreement by both parties is relatively quick, simple, and requires no additional input by staff or the village or the fire protection district. The good result is we are basically recapturing what has been lost revenue to us all these years, and going forward should generate close to $25,000 of additional revenue to the village for really no procedural changes and no additional cost.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the board? Trustee Lang?
Thanks a lot, Keith. This is a great savings or addition, I should say. You said in your report you were looking at other communities in the future. Is there any surrounding communities that have similar billing or the same billing structure that we do or the same biller? And you can kind of go after some of those.
Eventually, Arlington Heights does. They use Andres Medical Billing as well. It'll be a little more complicated with some of our other neighbors because they are using different companies. But again, this is an easy one to implement, work out the bugs with, and we do intend to pursue this agreement with our neighbors as well.
So the dollar figure was like a $40,000 plus fee or addition?
No, about $25,000. Okay. About $25,000.
Okay. Oh, that was the Chicago Heights. Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trustee Papantos?
What other community, I'm assuming Buffalo Grove, responds most often for us?
Ideally, we would do this for every surrounding community in our immediate jurisdiction, which would eventually be Mount Prospect, Glenview, Northbrook, Buffalo Grove, Lincolnshire, Arlington Heights as well. Again, we do, mutual aid is based predominantly when it comes to ambulances on a geographic basis. It's based upon closest available unit. Obviously, on our southern border, basically anything south of Hintz Road, our closest mutual aid is Prospect Heights. So they are probably the largest user of all those communities I listed collectively.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. If there are no other questions, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Vogel, second, Trustee Krueger. Roll call.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horger.
Yes.
13B, ordinance reserving volume cap in connection with private activity bond issues and related matters.
Mr. Monshane, can you explain this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The item that's on the agenda tonight, the ordinance, is an ordinance that's been on the agenda for many years, going back to, I believe, 2002 or 2001. And what this ordinance does is it allows the Village of Wheeling to reserve its share of the state of Illinois' private activity bonding authority. And what that means is that the state of Illinois every year has the ability to allocate to municipalities the right to work with manufacturers and sometimes apartment building owners or developers to finance fixed asset projects such as equipment, land, or building purchases at tax exempt rates. As you know, when the village issues debt, it issues debt typically at tax exempt rates, and this allows us to work with private companies to do the same thing so that they can save money. It's really an economic development tool that the state gives us the ability to work with. And so this year we have the ability to reserve about $4 million roughly in private activity volume cap by passing this ordinance. Now, we do not have any company in Wheeling that's expressed an interest in using that, and we have not had any company in Wheeling express an interest in using our cap for basically the last 20 years, but occasionally there are other communities that approach us and they're interested in using our volume cap to finance a project within their community, and they're typically willing to pay a fee for that. That hasn't happened since 2007, but this year the city of Chicago Heights approached us and would like to buy our share of volume cap for a fee of 1%, or roughly around $40,000, $40,490. So by approving this ordinance, you're allowing us to reserve the cap and then transfer it or sell it to the city of Chicago Heights for a fee.
I am curious, why are these used so seldom in our town where there's so much going on?
Yeah, it really depends on when a private company is looking to finance a project. They're going to do it, obviously, at the least expensive way possible. And it depends on where interest rates are at the time. So if private interest rates for taxable financing are less or comparable to the tax exempt rates, they're usually going to go the private financing route. And the reason for that is because to issue tax exempt bonds is rather expensive. The transaction costs are high. So it's really just a bottom line kind of transaction. They look at whether or not it makes sense and saves them money to issue tax exempt debt. We do try to advertise the program through our economic development department and online through our website and in our newsletter, but we just haven't had any interest in a long time.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Left, right? If there are no questions, I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion, Trustee Papantos.
Second.
Second, trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes.
13C, resolution authorizing the village president and village clerk to execute a renewed lease between the village and the Wheeling Prospect Heights Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Mr. Spondilis, what is this?
Thank you. This is a simple renewal of an existing relationship that the village has with the chamber. The reason this was pulled is that Trustee Vito is on the chamber board, and we thought that was most appropriate. The terms are exactly the same as has been in effect for a number of years. This is a 2-year agreement beginning April 1st, 2019, running through March 31st, 2021. And the most important aspect is the monthly lease rate, which remains to be $1 per month. That is what they have paid since they moved in when this building was built about 10 years ago, and remains. So this is a simple lease extension for 2 years.
There's no inflator? There's no...
Would you like there to be?
No.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, trustee Krueger, second, trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Abstain.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. Official communications.
Yeah,
Trustee Vito.
on that last item topic, I mean, the relationship that the village has with the chamber, and John can always attest to that too, is pretty special. When our director, Nina, came from Glenview, she was shocked at the relationship that the village had with the chamber, and even the Park District and the other bodies had with the chamber. And it's really been helpful to have that kind of public-private partnership. John's always there, touting the village and trying to promote businesses for the village and for the chamber. So I appreciate that the village keeps renewing that lease for the full $1. Make sure Nina pays that $1 at the end of every month. Thanks.
Thank you, trustee Vito. Anyone else?
Mary?
Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Yedinak. Thank you. And congratulations. It's nice to see people taking an interest and joining our commissions. It is work. It's a lot of work, and we appreciate the fact that people are willing to do that. It's often a thankless job. And once again, congratulations to Public Works. Clearing those streets through, frigid cold, ice, snow. I'm just waiting for things to flood right now as things, slowly melt. But our department does a great job. I have to say it, and I can't get over it enough. But thank you.
Thank you, trustee Papantos. There are no other questions or comments. You do have before you the bills for January 17th through January 30th, 2019, sorry.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been that hard. It's written right there. Need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion, trustee Vogel.
Second.
Second, trustee Lang. Roll call.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. We have an executive session this evening to discuss pending, probable, and/or imminent litigation. I need a motion to recess into executive session.
So moved.
Motion, trustee Krueger, second.
Second.
Trustee Lang, roll call.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes, it is 7:10. We are going to recess into executive session. You're all welcome to stay, but you don't have to. You want to
And I don't
figure out
want
how
to.
to distribute?